Hello there, welcome back to Jennie Designs with Paper. Thank you for stopping by my channel today. I'm working with an embossing folder today, so get comfy and let's get crafty. So today I'm going to make 2 graduation cards using this Doris graduation cap embossing folder. I also picked out a number die. This is a Memento one from Hobby Lobby. I have a cap and diploma die from Birch Cherry or something like that, and then congratulations word die. I have some silver foil paper, and the 2 cards I'm making, one is going to be green, blue, and white. The other is going to be black, burgundy, and white, school colors. Now, we're going to start with this burgundy card. Before I send this burgundy piece of cardstock through my embossing folder, I'm going to wet it a little bit with some water. So this is one of those continuous spray bottles. So just off screen, off my desk, or away from my desk. I sprayed it just a little bit with that spray bottle. Oh my gosh, words are hard today, y'all. And I put it in the wet side down in my embossing folder, and hopefully you can see the texture this creates. So embossing folders, they have come a long way since the beginning, but they create this indented and embossed and debossed texture on the cardstock. And for today's purposes, it's just going to be background texture. I am going to explore a few other ways that we can make those embossing folders stand out. And so, but for today's cards, they are background. I am going to emphasize that background a little bit, but I'm going to glue that down on my card base first. And I'm using liquid glue, and that is important because you want to get adhesive into all of the nooks and crannies that are created by those embossing folders. In my experience, double-sided adhesive or dry adhesive doesn't work. Now I'm going to take this silver ink pad and very lightly drag it across the top of this embossed panel so that the ink is only picked up by the raised edges. It is not perfect. It is not meant to be perfect. It is just meant to kind of emphasize that embossed detail. If you have a white core cardstock, you can use a sanding block as well. So I'm going to cut this black piece of cardstock down to about a 2-inch strip. I kind of guessed I probably could have gone a little bit narrower, but I'm grabbing I cut it down to 2 inches and then just 4 inches wide to match the width of our card panel. And now I'm going to speed through this because this took me a minute and a half. We are putting 2024. I have cut the 2024 out of that kind of holographic silver foil paper cardstock. And I'm also going to cut down a strip, just a small 1/4-inch strip of that cardstock. Graduation cards can be super simple, like the 2 I'm creating here. And this might not be super simple. This might be like step up 2 because of the embossing folder. Or they can be the most outrageous cards alive. Like I even have my favorite things die set that will allow you to put a gift card in the front panel of your card, which I use for graduation cards frequently. So there's a little, it kind of makes a shaker pouch. Anyway, I digress. We are going to start assembling the parts of our card here now. So I'm going to put that black panel with the 2024 at the top of the card. I had put it off to the side with a couple of stamp blocks on it to hold it in place while the glue dried. And here I'm making a cardinal mistake. I'm using dry adhesive. Why am I using dry adhesive? Well, because it's my habit. But I did have to go back later and put liquid glue on the back of that because it did not stick to that card panel with all of those embossed and debossed layers on the panel of the card. I'm not sure why I even grabbed my ATG, but I did. I want to add this silver stripe. And see, here I'm going back for the liquid adhesive. I don't even know, y'all. The reason I'm adding this silver stripe down here is because I want to break up that bottom a little bit for where I add the graduation cap die cut. I've cut that die cut 2 times out of black cardstock, but I'm going to use one for the actual cap, and then I'm going to trim the tassel off of the other one to make it white. The silver ink pad, I probably should have used a silver ink pad, but I just pulled out a white pigment ink pad and used that. But I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down with, again, liquid glue because embossed paper. So you can see that 2024 just totally slid out of place. I don't even know. So I've glued it down and added the blocks to it. And now I'm going to trim off the tassel. And what you can't see is that this tassel, it isn't easy place to cut. There's very narrow cuts in that die. So you can see, or lines in the die, so you can see where to cut to trim that tassel off. And with a scrap piece of paper and an ink cube, I'm just inking up the button on the top of the cap and the tassel. And that's just to make it stand out a little bit more. I'm going to put a little dot of liquid glue on the hat and then glue the tassel down, and same with the button on the top of the hat. And then this card is almost done. We'll add a little bit of bling to it later because it is for a female graduate, and you know, girls like bling. Even my tomboyish girls in their tomboyishest phases like the bling. So once I have that down, I'm using my tweezers because they're tiny pieces and I want to be able to get them on as precisely as possible. You can see that glue has kind of oozed out a little bit. I'm experimenting with this new glue tube, new to me glue tube. I'm just going to use that scrap paper to pick up that extra glue, and it will dry back clear. Okay, the second card is the green, blue, and white card. And I'm going to emboss the white panel this time. Same thing, I'm going to wet it down a little bit and put the wet side face down, or the wet side down, into my embossing folder. I forgot to trim this one down, so I'm going to trim it really quick before all of that slight, the slight wetness dries. I'm going to trim it down to 4 by 5 1/4. So there is even though the card base is white, there is a frame around this embossed panel. So I'm going to center that into that embossing folder, run it through my die cut machine, and hopefully you can see some of the texture on that paper. It's a little bit harder when it's white. And I'm going to enhance that embossed image as well, but this time I'm using a green ink. So this ink swiping is a little more prominent than maybe the silver was. And this ink pad left ink on more than just the embossed images. It's a very juicy ink pad. It's kind of new, but I don't hate it. So we're just moving on. The idea here was to draw attention to the embossed edges, and it did. So I have taken a 2-inch square or 2-inch strip of the green and blue paper and cut it into 2-inch squares. I'm going to make some banners. Now, you're not going to see me make all of these into banners because as soon as I got all of these squares cut into banners very painstakingly, and yes, I do have banner dies, and yes, I could have cut a whole bunch, but this kind of seemed faster. I realized I made them way too big. So I've pulled out my twine here, and well, I could have skipped this step entirely. It is completely not visible on the card. I could have skipped this in its entirety. But I'm going to make a little twine wrap across the top portion of the card so that I have something to hang my little banners off of, right? I'm making a bunting. I lost my, I forgot. It has been so long since I made a card with any kind of a banner on it that I forgot you're supposed to put the little banner, the little banner die cut pieces below the twine to make it look like they actually are hanging on that twine. I don't even know. I'm calling this delayed brain fog due to anesthesia. Okay. And you can see that nasty bruise on my hand is just getting worse and worse as it heals. So anyway, I am going to pop these banners up with foam tape. And here is about the time I realize that 2-inch squares, way too big. Again, we're just calling it brain fog. We're calling it brain fog because I haven't made a banner card in a long, long time. So I put some foam tape on a blue piece, a green piece, and even a piece of that iridescent silver banner. I did not end up using the silver holographic pieces on the banner, I used the holographic silver paper to cut the numbers instead. Sorry, my throat is all phlegmy all of a sudden. I don't mean to be gross. Sorry. Anyways, I painstakingly put double-sided foam adhesive on all the banners that I plan to use. And still, in my brain, it's all right as rain. I decided to go ahead and adhere the panel down before I applied my banners, just so this glue could start to set and dry. Perfectly fine step, right? Everything is right in the world. Yeah, this is super slow motion. I don't know why I didn't speed this up. Sorry, you guys. Sorry. Anyway, I'm going to fidget with it a minute. And that's a good thing about liquid glue is that you have a minute to readjust if you don't get it down there quite right. Okay, now we're going to start with our banners. And I put the blue one down. And I put it right over the top of that twine. So what was the purpose of the twine? Don't ask me. Don't ask me. And then I grabbed a green one. And I peeled off that backing tape. And I'm looking at it. And I'm not seeing a problem yet. And I kind of offset that and lined it up. And still not seeing a problem. And then I pull the blue one in. And now I see a problem. So in super fast motion that I did speed up, I went through and cut all of those banners in half. And then I did the fishtail cut in them again. And I did them one at a time, so I didn't have to cut more than I needed. And I'm making sure that they are not straight up and down, because at this point, having them aligned perfectly straight is outside the realm of possibility. And this is where I decided not to use the foil banners, because I realized I have the numbers cut in foil paper. Why would I want a foil banner behind it? So yeah, anyway, definitely these are less than an inch, definitely a much better choice. So here are my numbers already cut out. It is 2024. Can you believe it is 2024? I mean, it feels like it should not be 2024. And it feels like it should definitely not be May of 2024. I can't even believe it's May. And like a full week into May at this point. I'm like astounded. It was just January. Oh, anyway, using a stamp block to hold those numbers in place, because the banners are not exactly even, so it will take a little bit of time for those to adhere properly. I have that same congratulations die, or have a congratulations die that I'm going to adhere to this blue, a strip of blue paper. And I have a scroll, like it's supposed to be your diploma, right? Nobody gets diplomas rolled up anymore. We get them. In fact, most of the time at our graduations, those little books we get are empty, and then they mail us the actual diploma in the mail, right? And I almost put it on upside down. Then I realized, gravity, Jenny, the little ties are going to be hanging down, because regardless of whether I want to believe it or not, which I'm just kidding, I do believe in gravity. Gravity is a real thing, and there's no way that those little ribbons are going to stand up in the air unless they are like wood or something, right? Something not ribbon. All right, using my favorite things glue tube, adding a couple little dots on the back of each letter on this congratulations word die. This is an impression obsession, I think. It's one of the few congratulations dies I found that the whole word is hooked together. The only thing is it doesn't have a tittle for the I, which I don't hate, because then I don't lose it. So if that bugs you, this is not your die, but it did not bug me. Okay, we're going to adhere that congratulations word strip and the blue piece of paper down to the front of our card. And this card is almost done too. But again, these cards are for my daughter's female friends, and they like the bling, so we're gonna jazz them up a little bit. All right, you can see that I added the congratulations word to the bottom of that burgundy card, and I have my Altenew Gem Sparkles, and we are going to, first thing I'm going to do is take one of those, not the largest, not the smallest, but kind of like I guess that would be the mid-size, hello, and use it as the dot or the button on the top of the cap, because why not? Because why not? And then I'm going to grab a couple of the smaller ones and just add them around that cap for bling, because everybody needs a little something shiny, and this card clearly does not have enough shiny and sparkly on it. So far I've got 3. I honestly cannot remember how much I went with. I think I stopped at 3, but you never know. You never know. On the green and blue card, I'm going back and adding them around the sentiment just to kind of draw attention to or dress up the sentiment strip or whatever it's called. Whatever it's called. And I think I stopped at 3 there too. So here you go. You can see that embossed and ink swiped texture again, plus the holographic silver foil paper. So embossing folders are a quick and easy and relatively inexpensive way to add a little bit of something to the background of your card. I mean, when you're talking card making supplies, embossing folders have got to be one of the least expensive ones in the market. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I have a couple of other videos here for you to watch. I've also added that subscribe button. If you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you did. Leave me a comment down below. Tell me your high school colors. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and have a really fabulous day.